Amazing, guys. Welcome back to another podcast of Road to Abundance. Today I have a special guest. It's a friend of mine that I met recently. Super amazing human and probably the best real estate agent in America. So it's Aaron Kirman, $8 billion in sale, around 800 million every year. Well, that's crazy.
Thanks for having me. I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's in Bali.
It's perfect shirt.
So, well, you started from humble beginning. I don't know your story yet.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna hear it today. But now you're very successful, and I've been talking to you for a little while. I saw your office, your stuff, and I like your energy. So tell me how you went from this humble beginning to super successful in real estate.
Yeah. It's a funny story. I think from difficulties. I almost think every difficulty that I ever had led me to where I am today. My dad was a school teacher. My dad was a trucker. My mom was a school teacher. And growing up, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't talk, actually. So until I was like 8, I had this horrible stutter. I couldn't say the word R. And so my name had Aaron in it, so it was like my nightmare was like like the first day in school was my nightmare because I couldn't even say my own name. And from there, it was like a really kind of tough educational childhood. On top of that, I was gay, so I didn't really feel like I fit in that much. And so
You knew you were gay from
I knew I was gay
the beginning.
since I was like really young.
Wow.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I just literally couldn't pass a test. So I failed literally. I don't know how you fail first grade, but I failed first grade.
Wow.
And that set the trajectory for what was me having to cheat my way through school. So I literally had to cheat. I mean, you love it. I hated it.
Cheating is my way, man.
That was my way. I had to cheat. I literally always picked the smartest person to sit next to, and I would like literally copy them.
It's
and
being smart.
I mean, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. But the funny thing is, I learned from that later in life, and I'll back into that. But yeah, so I cheated through elementary, high school, college, and it wasn't until I started my own business and I started my own life and I was working for myself that I was like, I can do this. And it was like the second I started, I just flourished. I think because I couldn't read, write, or talk very well, I was able to connect with humans and figure out who people are really quick, which ultimately led me to be like a master salesman. And that connection has helped me to just propel my business.
Yeah. Because I think it's the best thing. Like your energy, first time I met you, so we talked a little, then we went to lunch and I was like, wow, like I feel energy of people and I was like, this person is a real person. He's not like it's Los Angeles. You never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to meet. And I don't stay around people, even if they're successful, if I don't like their energy. And I was like, wow, he's actually very genuine and real. So that's what I liked about you from the first moment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I think energy is everything, right? Energy in life is everything. And it's all how you approach it. It's all about how you approach people. And so for me, I always approach people with like, who are you? And how can we be of service together, right? Because in life, we all help each other, right?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Some people are like, oh, that person's a user. And some people are users, right? But sometimes we could all use each other to get to where we want to be. And that's what I learned. And when I was young, I didn't know that. So I always felt like insecure and I was lying to people and I feel like I was like a bullshit artist. And it wasn't until I got super grounded and super content with myself that I did the opposite. I was like, okay, every moment, be transparent. Talk about where you want to go, how you could help each other, how you could be of service, how we can use each other for good, right?
We keep a good relationship. So if we both know what we're giving and getting, that's, I think, when nobody gets hurt. If you're real and honest, that's when you don't feel like the other's a user.
Exactly. I hit you up. I didn't know who you were. And I actually hit you up because I noticed you had this great like social media presence. And like I was telling you, I don't like my social media presence. And so I'm trying to study it and I'm trying to learn. And so I'm very transparent about everything we do. And that transparency and truth telling has led me to really good things, right? Instead of bullshitting people and telling them what they want to hear, I kind of do the opposite. And I tell people what challenges are and what they're going to be up against and what it's going to take to win. And I feel like people really appreciate that truth.
Yeah. And especially nowadays, like it's been shifting more and more and like the true people, it's who gonna make it and who long-term is gonna be winning.
Yeah. I think the world's elevation has gone really high, right?
Yeah.
I think there was a moment when like it was a very superficial world, right? And it was all about the car, the house, and
Motivation, like cranking the
correct,
Lambo, and,
right?
and yeah.
And now I think we're getting to a place of elevation. Not everyone, right? We all have a lot of work to do, including myself. But I think that ultimately we all want to do good, right? And so whatever it is you're in, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, it's like as long as you're like honest and real about it,
Yeah.
I think that that's the way to go. And I noticed for me when I stopped bullshitting, when I stopped lying, when I told it like it was, even if it was bad news, people were kind of like, okay, I can get it. And like I'm in a business there's millions of people in real estate. Like there's 4 million. There's double the people in the business than there is transactions, right?
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
so in that world, like everyone's kind of like, you think you have to tell people what they want to hear. But the reality is you kind of don't. You could be super,
blunt,
blunt in a nice kind of way.
Yeah, of course. And we'll come back to your success and how you built it. But I like that you said when you grounded yourself and you become that person. So what triggered this and what did you do in order to become Aaron that you are now?
It's a good question. I would say something happened. I got in a fight with one of my assistants. This was probably about 15 years ago. And one of my assistants said, "You are so full of shit and I hate you." And I was like, I was like, it really hurt my feelings, but I needed to take a deep look at why she said that. Right. And I had a life coach and I go to this life coach that's helped me for years. And she
the person you told me about.
Yeah, the person I actually want you to say.
Yeah.
And I said, I went to her and said, "This happened." And my life coach goes, "Are you full of shit?" And I kind of realized I was. Like, I talked the talk, I looked the look. I felt like I was doing what people wanted me to do rather than being like authentic to myself.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "Stop. Just never tell a lie again. Just tell it like it is."
I love it.
And then there was also this really valuable lesson at the time. I think I had like $600 million in inventory and I was having a horrible year. Like just nothing was sticking. I wasn't making the deals that I was used to. I wasn't making the money that I was used to. And she goes, "Stop lying and get rid of the people that are bad. Get rid of the people that
in
are..."
your business or your life.
And it was in business at this point because I had all these clients. I had $600 million in houses and nothing was selling. And she's like, "Obviously you have a bad grip." And so I thought about it, and I don't always take her advice, but I took her advice and I fired every single client I had. I fired them all. So I went from having $600 million in inventory, which is like, if you do the math on what we make per deal and commission.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot, millions, like millions and millions of dollars. I let it all go. And I remember thinking, holy shit, I'm at zero. Like I have zero now. What am I going to do? And what I learned was I just kind of went in with that straight talk, walk the walk. And within 3 months, I had another $600 million back. It was all flowing. I was killing it 3 months later. And the lesson that I learned, and it was a really valuable one, is it was kind of like know your people, like know who you're going to like, know who's going to like you.
Yeah.
And if you know that they're not your people, it's okay because you're not going to be good for everybody. Not everybody's going to be good for you. So as long as you can like find the people that you are going to be good for, you will be successful.
That's crazy. It's like manifestation. It's like a big failure. We see it people see it as a failure. It's more like a step back. You reorganize your life and then you were ready to the next level. And 3 months you were back on track. Yeah. Even more money because now the inventory was flowing. And those clients, often the people that are successful like yourself, they made it. They surround themselves with the same type of people. So those clients gonna bring you more deal.
For sure. And the other thing that was kind of like I was going through this life change. And I think that from life change comes amazing things, right? Like from failure comes greatness.
Yeah.
I was a director of one of the largest, most prestigious luxury real estate companies in the country. And because I wasn't doing great that year and the competition was so weird, I was at this crossroads. And somebody had offered me ownership into this really it was a decent company, but there was zero luxury. And they offered me some ownership to build it. And I went from this great company to this new unestablished company. But that also just like was this crazy trajectory of like building my career because I was like, I need to make it. I got to do it. I'm going to turn this company around. I'm going to turn my business around. And so I went from the most prestigious to literally the lowest. But that year I doubled my business.
And it was Compass.
No, not it was that we were bought and sold a couple times after.
Okay.
Now we're obviously like the third largest company in the country and the number one agent in that. But it was, a different moment. But what I learned is like you don't always have to be at the biggest or the best to do really well. Sometimes you can build it. And sometimes you have to build it or start fresh. And so I started to really appreciate underdog. Like the underdog, like I love the underdog company. I love the underdog person, like because I realize like at the end of the day, anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about you're very successful. You had those things happen to you. Tell me what's your routine? Like what makes you successful? I remember in your office, I saw the ego inside of a cage. It's like a bird cage and there's the word ego inside. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I love this. Like put your ego in a cage and try to fight it because the ego is always there. But you read probably, you have healthy habits. Like tell me about it.
So we're always working towards our goals, right? And I think I have a lot of work to do. I read and I write and I teach and I speak and I do my best to inspire. It's hard to practice what you preach, right? I always say live balanced, live organized, live structured. But when you're successful, like sometimes the schedule comes nailing, right? I will tell you what I do try to do though. I try to work out, not as much as you, but I try to hit the gym. I should go with you more.
Sure, let's do it when I'm back.
Let's do it when you're back. I would have a better body at that point. I try to meditate. I think meditation is super important for grounding. Every day I try to read the paper because I like to understand what's happening in the world and apply it to my life and my business. And what's the most important for me is starting my day out right. I notice if I just wake up and I start doing business and I'm on the phone, I get into the zone of feeling like I'm backward.
Yeah.
And so if I start right with meditation, swim, gym, newspaper, I start my day feeling great. And I can take all that grounding energy and turn it into success.
That's amazing. Yeah, the morning routine, I feel the same. If I jump on my phone when I wake up, I feel like my day is not going as well. Like if I wake up 2 hours before, an hour before, and I start the day and I ground myself and I read and I do my meditation and stuff, you start the day like manifesting what you want instead of having life tackle you.
And I'll tell you the other thing I try not to do. You're not going to like this, though. You're not going to like this. I try to stay away from social media in the morning.
It's good. You should.
Social media can be like an amazing tool, but it also can be a tool that can be competitive, right?
Yeah.
Somebody is always better looking, richer, more successful. And so what I try to do is run my own race and figure out what my agenda is today and where I want to go. And if I'm looking at other people's agenda or if I see my competition or if I see this, all of a sudden I'm in my own head, right? I'm like, and then I'm not running my own race. So I try to run my own race, figure out where I want to go, not let the external world affect it, but then study the external world to make sure that I am where I need to be as well.
Actually, I love it. That's what you should be doing. Like, even me, if I jump on Instagram when I wake up, it's not good to start my day. I get distracted, girls, car, all this stuff. And
coming from 1.5 million followers, I feel like you're pretty busy on Instagram though.
It's my work, so I tend to lose time on it. Like I shouldn't be, like that's my goal. When I come back from Canada, new apartment, new routine, and in it, no cell phone in the morning for the first 2 hours. Like no Instagram, no nothing. Because it actually distracts us. As you said, we look at other people and they only put the best.
Right.
So we think they have the money, the cars, the this, the that, but a lot of them are not happy. And it was like Dan Bilzerian. I saw a video that he was like, it's never enough, girl. It's never enough money. And he was so unhappy. And he's like, I hope in 2 years I'm not in social media anymore and I quit all this world. And like for a lot of guys, he was like the man.
Well, I think people look at other people as judges, but I think at the end of the day, like, most important is liking yourself, right? If you don't like yourself, you're going to suck for everybody else. And so one of the things that I always try to figure out is, like, what is right for me? And what am I going to, like, people cheat, people lie. Like, it's part of life, right? And we're humans and we're going to make mistakes. And that's normal. That's a normal human part of life, right? But what I realize is when you do things that are not good for yourself, knowing that they're not good for yourself, ultimately, it's going to come up in a different way. And the older I got, the more I realized that the more clean I live. And by the way, I'm not like perfect, right? But the more clean I live, the better I will feel about myself. And as long as I feel good about myself, I will do good things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I meet some of the richest, famous people in the world I represent, kings, queens, celebrities, pretty much the who's who, and people that are a lot smarter than me, richer than me, more famous than I, right? All of these things. But when I look at them, like, I feel super content. And I think that that level of comfort makes them comfortable. And they know that I'm an expert at what I do and that I won't bullshit them and that I'm not that easily impressed.
Yeah.
Like, as long as they're, you know, just because somebody's rich or famous, that doesn't impress me. What impresses me is how they got there and what led to their success and what type of person they are
Right
and are
now.
becoming. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But that's good. Nobody's perfect. Even me, even if I preach all that life, I have day that it's not a good day, or I have days that it's like we're all working towards it. Like if people were perfect, there would not be evolvement. Like no.
But
journey.
I don't know about you. I feel like on those days, like I'm the hardest critic for myself, which I teach not. But on those days that you slide, you're like, God, I'm sliding today, and you feel the slide.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, how can I get out of this? What is it that like I always try to figure out? Well, what led
to this?
What led to that moment? Why am I at home at 8 o'clock eating pasta and in a bad mood? Like, what happened today that got me there? And then try to work backwards from there.
So what do you do? Like, you feel unfocused, overwhelmed, or you have days like that? Like, what's your go-to? Like, okay, I need to meditate. What do you do?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of stopping, and it could be any time of day and just regrounding. And by the way, sometimes I have to do, you know, we're in meetings, we're sometimes doing TV, sometimes interviews, sometimes meeting clients. And, you know, the go of a busy person can lead to who knows what caused a moment of stress or feeling insecure about something. And that has consequences, right? And so I just try to regroup all the time. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I'll like step outside, I'll go for a walk, I'll walk with my dogs, I'll run, I'll take a swim, I'll, you know, drink water. It doesn't even matter. But as long as I could regroup the energy and start again. And the thing that's beautiful about where we are is every minute's a new moment. And I always tell people, where you are today, you may not be tomorrow. And I've seen people, and no joke, like in my business, you know, I've sold like $8 billion worth of houses, right? I've seen people start with $50,000 and they're living in like $80 million houses, no joke. And I've seen that trajectory. And I remember I got a call from a guy who was buying like a $700,000 house, and he could barely afford that $700,000 house. And he called me. He's like, Aaron, I would need to sell my house. This was after I sold it to him. And I remember thinking, shit, I probably shouldn't have sold him this house because I thought he couldn't afford it any longer. So he's like, actually, no, I want to buy a new house. So I was like, okay, great. So I said, you know, what's the address? He gave me this address. I looked it up on the computer, and it was a $42 million house.
40. He went from 700,000. How long?
A year.
A year?
1 year.
Wow. What did he do?
He was in the entertainment business, and one of his movies, I don't want to say who just because, you know, for privacy, but one of his movies hit huge, and he went from a $700,000 guy at house to a $40 million house.
Wow.
And it happened in 1 year. And I called him back and I said, I think I got the wrong address. I was like, can I get the address again? So he gave me the address again. I Googled it. I called him again. I go, I think I got the wrong address. This is what I'm seeing. He goes, no, that's right. I want to buy it. Let's go look at it.
Wow.
And I looked up what the situation. I was like, wow. And it just shows you, like, every day is a new day. Every day is so powerful. Every day is a change. Every day is a way to redirect. And so that beginning of the day and every day is like, we should be so grateful for that. Even if we're in a bad spot, even if our finances are, shit, I'm as good as I am, I have been bankrupt before. I mean, it happens. Like, you know,
I did bankrupt too.
Yeah.
But yesterday on the podcast, I was talking about manifestation and how people, like, in this 5D reality, there's no time. So no past, no present, no future. Yep. And on the 3D, sometimes we're stuck with the past and the future. And we're like, okay, I'm in this $700,000 house. I want to be in this 42. It's going to take me 50 years. 12 years, whatever, because people told us that it's long. This guy did it in a year, and that's what I call manifestation. he manifested in his life
Yeah.
and he went success
Yeah.
and then he's a successful person. And people often, it could be one person you meet
Right.
that changed your life.
But it's not just, I mean, listen, I think manifestation is a huge part, right? But it's manifestation meets
Work.
work.
Yeah.
And you got to put in the time, and it meets kind of mapping out. You're like, okay, how am I going to get from here to here?
Yeah.
And knowing that as you get there, there's going to be a ton of failure, right?
Yeah.
And every day, to get to that level, you're going to fail. Like
Yeah.
that guy, do you know how many movies he had to pitch to get to
Probably
that series?
a lot.
Like
Yeah.
hundreds. And do you
Yeah.
know how many rejections he probably took to get there? And if you take every rejection and internalize it, that's when we sink. And so for me, like one of the things I do, and it's been like a lifesaver, is in my business, I sell these huge houses, right? 30 million, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. And the stakes are massive. They're big. They're $1 million, $2 million,
Yeah.
$3 million per time. So if you lose something, it could like physically hurt in the heart. You're like, oh my God, my
last
heart
million.
hurts. I just lost, you know? And so what I started to do is I kind of look at it like a game. I'm like, okay, life can be like a game, right? And it's all about strategy and the way we play it. So
Yeah.
for me now, I want to play it the right way. And whether I win or whether I lose, whatever the outcome is, I'm not that committed to the outcome as long as I played it correct.
Exactly. And when I say manifested, actually, like you said, if you put the work, so let's say I want to have a successful podcast, I want to have a successful vlogger, I want to be an influencer. Actually, you have to do the thing for your body to become that person. You can just manifest it and not do the work.
Right.
Like that's what you're saying. Basically, it's like you have this map, but you shouldn't have expectation. You do the work, you enjoy the journey, and life is gonna bring it to you.
Walk the walk, talk the talk,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Sometimes when I was so committed to anything, for some reason holding on to it, it never happened. I remember I wanted a television show, right? And I kept pitching. And people were like, yes. It never happened. Finally, I was like,
You let go.
Over it. I don't want a show. I am where I am. I'm good. I don't need it. I run a great business. I'm, in my own right. And like 3 weeks later, I remember I got a call from a network going, okay, we're ready to give you a show. And so it's always that line of give and release, give and take. And that in the universe sometimes just really helps.
It
So
does.
that's where I came up with the thought that the outcome is just part of the process.
Yeah, because sometimes we want to choose so bad how life is gonna give it to us, and once we let go and we trust, that's what you kind of did. You let go, and you're like, it's done. Like, and then life, okay, it's time. He's ready.
It's time, yeah.
Because you wanted it so bad, and when you're in the frequency of want, you don't manifest it. And
Or
then
you
you're
want
like,
it, and the universe is like, okay, but there's still
You're not
lessons,
ready. Yeah.
right? It's like I have a lot of friends that are single, like, and I'm like, look, enjoy being single. It's great because when the time is right, you're not gonna be right. And so that single moment's gonna give you the lessons that will ultimately help you once you're in a relationship. And I have people in relationships that are dying to be single. I'm like,
Yeah.
the universe will give you what you need when you need it. As much as we want to curate all these things, a lot of it's out of our control too.
yeah.
So all we can do is put ourselves at the right spot at the right time and help.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I want to be in a relationship, this and that. Just live your life. Stop searching. Stop expecting. Like every time you meet someone, like, is he gonna be the one? Like a lot of people are like, oh, love happened unexpectedly. Like you just met the person.
I remember I wanted to be in a relationship and I was like having fun though. I always have fun, right? So I never was that committed to the cause. But I remember the time that I was least interested in meeting somebody. I was on a beach. I was in Brazil. I was with my friends. We were having so much, was when I met my boyfriend. And so life has that way too, right? Where you just kind of like, it happens. But I would say that being joyous in life and just enjoying every moment. And I know this sounds corny, but like life is short, it's short.
It should be.
And every day I remind myself, I'm like, be playful, be fun. Because as what I consider to be a master salesman, people don't want that uptight energy. They want to feel good. They want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They want to know that you're happy. Because if you're happy, they're going to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And so I always say, a level of selfishness is good too, right? Because if you're not doing good for yourself, you won't be good for anybody else.
Yeah, it's like self-love. Like people are like, I'm being selfish. No, you're listening to yourself. If you don't feel like going there or doing that, just don't do it.
Right.
Like do whatever you want. And when you're going to be truly happy, instead of saying yes to everything that you don't want to do, that's what I started doing 2 years ago. I was like, as of now, if I don't feel going to a dinner or doing something, I just say no.
My favorite thing is saying no. I mean, there's two things. I love saying no. I love not doing things. And I feel no guilt. Like I'm totally good. And the other thing I learned that I actually really like is saying I don't know. Like as an expert, people think I know
A lot.
in my business. I'm ranked probably one of the top in the world, right? So people think I'll know everything. And I'm like, actually, that's out of my pay grade. I don't know. And I love that answer because I think authenticity is like the most important. And being authentic, I think people feel that they need to overcompensate. And I love not knowing. I'm good with it. Like I'm good with saying it's out of my pay grade. Go find an expert because this isn't my thing, or let me look into it, or let me figure it out for you.
Yeah.
But like that authenticity is like what people want. I know that's what I want anyway.
Yeah, I do the same. Like if I'm not sure, I don't know, I can say I think it's that or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know. Like it's better.
It's better. And if you look at like, I mean, some of my most successful people, like, and these are like people with, you know, hundreds of millions of billions and fame and fortune. Like some of these people are the greatest, coolest, most chill people. And because they're just so authentic in their own skin and take it or leave it, right? And I think that attitude is what really works. I see a lot of people in sales and they try to put on a facade of like, you know, like
fake it until you make it. Kind
correct.
of.
And by the way, there is a theory that can work. And I'm not that opposed to it as long as you're not lying along the way.
Yeah. I would say like more present yourself good. So it's okay to have a nice car. You don't need the fanciest car. You can have a nice car that you can afford. Nice clothes. You don't need to be all dressed up. Like you said, it's like authenticity. If you feel like you feel good doing it, then do it. But like that would be your advice. Like let's say that people want a business and stuff. Like you would just say be
yourself.
authentic.
Be yourself. I mean, I will go into $100 million appointment looking like this. I will meet kings and queens and CEOs with a t-shirt and jeans. I realized for me, I don't want to feel like I'm at work. Like I don't like that vibe of feeling like I'm working. Yeah. So for me, and I work a lot, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just wear a t-shirt.
I like that.
I'll wear jeans, and that will make it more casual for me. And the day that I did that, you know, I remember I went on a $100 million listing with a shitty t-shirt. And I remember my friend was like, "Are you going?" One of my staff was like, "Are you going on that appointment?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I went in and I got it. Like, and ever since then, I was like, "Okay, I feel good being casual. Some people feel good being dressy. Whatever makes you feel good, you should do."
Exactly, because it's gonna show in your energy. You're. I'm like you. Like I never been like I was in fitness, so I was happy to always kind of be in jogging and stuff. But when I was like younger, I remember one of the guy I was looking up to was Richard Branson. Okay. And I liked his philosophy because everybody could wear jeans and t-shirt at the office. And me, I was working at the bank, like at TD Bank, and I was an employee, and I was the best at what I was doing, and I was wearing t-shirt. Right. And I was the only one at the bank that could wear a t-shirt. And the new people were like, "Oh, this guy doesn't wear a shirt or a polo." They're like, "Oh, don't worry about Mike. He do whatever he wants here." Like, they were like, I was so good at doing my job and selling. I got a promotion in 3 months and this. But I was like, guys, I can't wear this. It's stressing me. Like, I can't do my sell. I can't be productive if I feel like I have the collar. And I was bigger. I was competing and stuff. So I was like 200 pounds. And I was like, I don't feel good.
Well, it's funny. Like, my friends say the richer I got, the worse I looked. Like, they always say that. Like, they're like, "You look homeless." Like half the time they feel like but I don't care that much about. Funny enough, I sell the biggest houses and stuff. I don't care that much about material. Yeah. Like for me, material is like money. Material, it comes and it goes, and it's more of like an energy, and it's more of a flow for me, and so. I think that's also a really critical thing for success because a lot of people put too much emphasis on
looking
on looking or feeling or being or like, you know, the truth of the matter is that car or that house may or may not give you happiness because you have to have happiness from other sources. Otherwise, it either will or it won't. Do I love my house? Yeah, I like my house. Do I like my cars? Sure, I like my cars. But do I identify with them? Like, do I make them as part of me? Absolutely not. I enjoy them, but it's not my defining factor.
I like that about you. Like, I'm simple like that. Like it's cool if you want to buy a Louis and you can afford it, buy it. If you want to have nice Porsche, I drive a nice car just because I like cars. But I could sell it tomorrow and I don't feel bad about it. It was days that I didn't have it. It was days I couldn't even pay rent. So I went from nothing to making money, and I had both a lot of money and no money. And I'm like, you need to feel good for yourself.
I remember I grew up, in a very modest family. So my parents never had a luxury car. And I remember I was like 17 and I wanted to get into real estate. And I said, Mom, I need a Mercedes. And my mom never had a Mercedes. Like she had 15-year Volkswagens, right? And she goes, what do you mean you need a Mercedes? I said, Mom, I'm 18 or 17. I'm about to be 18. I'm going into real estate. I need a nice car. So she bought me a nice car. It was like the nicest gift ever. And to this day, like I buy my mom a car every 2 years because I'm so grateful for her because she helped me get that. And at that moment in time, right, I needed a nice car because I didn't have the success yet. Correct. Yeah. So it was just something that was important. As I got, successful and as I look at people, at a certain point, you don't need it anymore because success speaks for itself.
Because you also know, like, when you're successful and you feel successful and you don't judge yourself for the money and you have money and this and that and you don't need validation from other, it shows. And some people, I remember at 19 I got a brand new BMW because I was in multi-level marketing, MLM, and I was like, I need a car, I need to show off that I'm making that money, and I got a bike and this and that, and then led up to my bankruptcy a few years later.
Listen, I had a bunch of other things that led to my bankruptcy, which we won't get into. But I think that if I could take it all back, I have a boyfriend who's very pragmatic, right? He is very smart with money. And to this day, if I want a luxury car that's $3,000, $4,000 a month, right? He'll be like, that's a payment on a condo. And he's right. Like, that's a payment on a condo. And so I think that we as a society put so much emphasis, and it's weird because a lot of my world is material, right? But we put so much emphasis on the material, but we should put emphasis on how to live the right way through material. And if you could do that, that's how we could win. And one of my biggest regrets was when I was younger, spending like that and doing what you did, because had I had done it a little bit more pragmatically, I probably wouldn't have had to have declared bankruptcy at a certain point.
But I love it because when I look back, I was like, fuck, I made like 400,000 or 500,000 and I have nothing left. And I was popping bottle and doing stupid stuff and going to the restaurant with my girlfriend. And it's how I was bringing her every day because I wanted to prove myself. So every morning at the breakfast. And then I lost my business because of her and this and that. And I was like, wow, that everything led to...
So let me ask you a question. So you must have felt insecure around her if you were trying to impress her that much.
Yeah. Like a lot of guys do. Like, she was really hot, and I was hurt from my previous girlfriend. And then this girl, actually, the problem was not from me, because when you're in a relationship, if you trust your partner, like now you have a partner, if you trust the person, you're not gonna feel insecure. Now I could have a wife, and I could let her talk with people. I wouldn't mind but she was making me feel insecure because she was not safe. Like she wasn't feeling like that she loved herself and this and that. So it was always a relationship on the edge of, oh, I'm going to lose her. I'm going to do this. And then she asked me that summer that, oh, we're not spending enough time together. And she was living 30 minutes away. And I was driving back and forth every day because I had a business, 2 jobs. And I was doing some other stuff too. And then
things you probably can't talk about.
And I was like, fuck, I'm coming. I slept with her at her place for a year straight. Like I was doing the back and forth. And she was like, it's not enough. Like you're working all the time. And I was like, what do you want? She's like, can we have the summer? So I didn't take client in my business. And my business was from February to May that I had to build client for. I had window washing and maintaining home. So what happened is I didn't take client. In May, she dropped me and she cheated on me. And I was like stuck, no business for the whole summer. It was so bad.
And that's why I always say, be selfish, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's great to be in love. It's great to like somebody. But like at the end of the day, the right person's going to love you for you, right?
If it's a good love.
If it's a good love, right? And so like, I remember when I was younger, you would always, for whatever reason, people make you insecure, whether it's wealth, power, fame, looks, it doesn't even matter, right? And so, but when you do find that right person, it's really soothing because you don't have to be, you don't have to try, you
Yeah.
just be. And that person helps you get better, right?
Exactly.
And so now, as part of like my routine, like anybody that doesn't help me get better
Mhm.
or that I can't help get better is probably not the best fit in my life
Yeah.
today. And so I'm really cautious about who I let into my world because I just want that energy. I want the
Mhm.
right energy. I want the right
Yeah.
vibes. I want the right growth. And what people don't realize is any slip could slip, right? Life changes in 1 minute. I've seen the richest people get poor. I've seen the poorest people get rich. I've seen the best health get bad. You know,
Yeah.
in my business, I've been lucky enough and unlucky enough to see it all. And so that's why it's like every decision we make, every coordination we make, every
It's
plan we make,
important.
it's important. Even what you're going to do on a Friday night can be important.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you on that. And sometimes it's hard to let go of those people that we've been friends for a long time, or a girlfriend, and people are like, I'm just like, let go.
Let go.
Like, let go of it.
By
Just
the way, the
do
best
it.
thing, like I used to be like, so when I was young, I used to hate change and I used to hate to let anything go. It was
Yeah.
like, I think it was a response from being poor, right?
Yeah,
Or
probably.
because I was like, oh, I can't let that go. I can't let that go. I can't let that person. So I collect. I call it collecting people,
Yeah.
collecting projects. And when you collect too much, all of a sudden it just becomes this thing, right?
Yeah,
So as I got older and as I got more successful, my favorite thing to do
letting
is
go.
let people go. I mean, not for a reason, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if a client's just not for me, I have no issue firing a client, being like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we're not a match. You'll find your match. I'll find a better match.
Yeah.
One door open, and keep it revolving. And that energy is what growth
I
is,
love
is
that.
what growth comes from, right?
Yeah,
And so I remember like when I was a kid, I had this desk, right? And I was making a couple million. I mean, I was doing really well as a kid. And I had this little desk. And at the time, the owner of the company was like, we'd like to give you an office. And I didn't take it. I was like, I'm not taking the office. I'm doing really well at this desk, right? I was
So
like,
I
I'm
wanna
not
keep it.
I'm keeping my desk. And I remember I had this little desk when I could have had a corner office because I was afraid of the energy shift.
yeah,
And now I'm like all about the energy shift.
Yeah, me
Shift,
too.
even if things are good, keep it rolling, keep it moving, because otherwise we become kind of stagnant.
yeah. And I move a lot, and every year I clean like
Yeah.
what I don't need and stuff. And I tell my mom all the time, I'm like, you need to sell the house and move.
Yeah.
You're stuck in that energy. You have a broke mentality. You can't make it in life if you don't change. And it's been like 7-8 years now that I talked to her, and
Right.
she still didn't do it. And I'm like, Mom, you have to do it. Let go. Just let go. Clean your life.
By the way, I say this not because I'm a real estate agent and not because I make money selling houses, but I tell people to move every couple of years. Like even if you love your house, it's like move up, change cities, change because
Yeah.
every time you change, something
energy.
new is going to come from
Yeah.
it, right? New neighbors, new friends,
Love it.
new city, and that change is what I just think change builds greatness.
Yeah.
Although sometimes change could be bad too. I mean, you got to
Yeah, but
and you got to recognize
for
it.
us, it was working good so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
Like for me,
And-
I like change.
And if change is a bad change, then you change it again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're never stuck. That's
You're
what
never
people
stuck.
like. They're like, oh, but just move. Just go.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you belong in Texas or LA anymore. Just move. Like, I always listen to my feeling. When my feeling was like, Canada is not right for me anymore, move to LA.
But flip side of that, I see the reverse floor plan too, which is sometimes I see people just move too often, right? They like pick up, they leave, they change, they change jobs, they change careers, they change girlfriends, boyfriends, they change the car. And that could also be a lack of stability.
Yeah.
So if you're changing for the right reasons, I think it's
Exactly.
great. But people have to be careful with that too.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people just moving and I'm like, okay, wait. You want to build something first.
Yeah, they might be chasing something.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if you have your shit together and you're doing it for the right reason, then I think it can be beneficial for sure.
Right. It's interesting though. Like people are, I think the beauty of people is we fuck up. We
Yeah.
fuck up and we fix it and we change.
Exactly. If you would have like an advice
Yeah.
like to give to people like right now.
I think the advice that I would give people is enjoy the ride. It's not all about the destination. And I mean that in like every facet, from career to personal to fun. Like I think today we take ourselves so seriously, and we all have these goals, and we're all so goal driven. And goals are great. Like, I love goals, and I create a goal every day. And by the way, we didn't talk about that, but have a goal. Like, that's one of the key things. But along the ride for that goal, enjoy the process of the goal.
You have to enjoy in order to achieve those goals.
Funny enough, though, I mean, my goals, like, I never had like sales goals per se. And I remember it was a very silly thing, but my boyfriend runs a bank, or is a banker. He's at a bank, and he goes, "Well, what's your goal?" And I was like, "I don't know, babe. I sell what I sell when I sell." Like, I didn't have that number.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That's insane. You need a number." And so I kind of created a number for me and for my team. And it was so easy because once I had that number, I was like, okay, I'm on track. I'm where we need to be. I'm not, right? And it's so easy to gauge. And then the advice is enjoy that day.
Enjoy the ride. So you set up goal.
Yeah.
Like,
I think everybody should.
For like weekly goal, monthly goal, everything.
A weekly goal, monthly goal, yearly goal. I always tell people it can change. Have a 5-year plan.
You also have a 5-year plan because we talked about it.
Absolutely. Have a 10-year plan. You know, have those plans because at least
you can change.
You can change it, right? But at least you know, having a plan and having a strategy at least keeps you on track to know where you are at the time. Now, if it changes.
Exactly.
If you're behind, that's the other thing. People get upset about being behind, and I'm like, don't be. Because it's a long race. Yeah. And recognize it's a long race. I see people all the day that have that run the short race, and the short race very seldom wins.
Yeah.
Very seldom wins. It can. I mean, it can, but I don't see it very often.
Yeah, I prefer the long run, and it's like building a house. You need a plan.
You need a foundation.
Then you can change if you're building and you're like, I want to add this or this or that. You can always change, and there's nothing wrong.
And also pick the right people to grow it with, right? Yeah. Like, and if you fucked up and you picked the wrong people, start again.
Amazing. So, thanks for joining me. You want to tell people where they can find you, what to expect?
So you could go to my website, aaronkirman.com, my Instagram, Aaron Kirman. Thanks for having me. It was just super fun to hang out with you.
Thanks for coming on a podcast. I hope people enjoyed, honestly. You're the American dream, like went from nothing. And at the same time, I really appreciate you. That's why I have you on the podcast, because you're true. Like, you're a real person that no bullshit and just always good energy.
No bullshit, good energy, good vibes. And thanks for having me. It was super fun.
Thank you.